Hello everyone, in this video we are going to create a simple API task application and we are going to integrate with Tigris as DB instance of MongoDB. We are going to use clean architecture to organize our project. If you want to learn how to create an API with Node, Express and Tigris, let's start. So the first thing that we are going to do is to create the Tigris DB. So to do that we have to sign up or log in if you are case. So in my case I already have an account of Tigris data. So and when you be here you have to click on create new project and you can put the name of the project that you want. In my case we are going to create a project called TutoDev task Tigris, right? And we're going to click on create. So when you be in this part in this page, you have to copy this code, right? This instruction. Because we're going to create an Tigris app, but without any framework, right? If you want to create in based on Express of Next.js, so you click on whatever you want. In my case, we're going to click on here to copy this, and after that, I'm going to open a terminal and go to projects, and here we're going to pass that we copied, and with npx and create Tigris app we can create a Tigris app in its live version. With this flag we can name the project. Yes, in my case we're going to name this project like TutoDev task Tigris. So after that we found this another tags, which is client ID and client secret. So with that secrets we can connect to the DB, right? And here with this tag, with this flag example, we use playground, which is a default template to our application. So we are going to enter, and after a few seconds the project will be created. So let's wait. Finished creating the project. So the next thing that we are going to do is go inside the folder cd TutoDev task Tigris. So after that we have to do npm run dev to start the project, right? But before that we are going to launch an instance of Visual Studio Code, and we are going to do inside a terminal of this application, right? So inside of Visual Studio Code we are going to execute this command npm run, I think is step, to launch the project, right? And listen on port. I am port 3000 I think, but we're going to wait. So set that completing and let's wait. So this is the template that the npm package with Tigris was created, right? It creates as a file called index, which only create two schemas, right? So, but for this moment, we are going to delete this file, because we are going to create our folders, right? And let's delete this another folder. So inside of source folder, we are going to create the first folder called domain. Yeah, remember that we are working in base clean architecture. Yeah, and there are many ways to create a folder structure for clean architecture, right? So in my case, we're going to create 3 folders, right? The first one is domain, and the other one is infrastructure, and the other is an application folder, right? We're going to start with domain because that is the main of a clean architecture, right? Here we are going to add the entities, right? So in this project we have an entity called task, right? I called task.ts, and we have to create this entity. So for that we have to export because we are going to export a class, right? In class, and in this class we are going to have many properties, yeah, that which is a task, right? The first one is the name of a task, which is a string, right? The another one is a description for a task, right? And the other one is if the task was done or not. For default, done will be false, right? So we are going to have a constructor. So in that constructor we need to pass some data to create a task, right? The first one is the name, which is a string, the description, which is a string as well, and the other one is done, which is a boolean, right? And we have to match these properties to our class. So the first one is a description, which is data.description. The another one is done, or name, data.name, and the other one is done, which is data done, right? So we are going to create a method called create, yeah, which will be a static method. So because when we want to create a task, we want to use this method, right? But so we are going to create this method. I'm going to explain that after, in a couple of minutes, right? This method will return a task, right, which is the class, this class task, and we are going to create an instance of this class. So this method have to pass the similar parameters to the constructor, right? We are going to copy this and paste here, right? So I go to data, and by default I said that done is default false, right? So to do that we have to use the express operator in JavaScript, which is like this, and the done will be false when we want to create a task, right? But if we create this class or create an instance of this class, we have to pass the parameter done, yeah. But if we use this another method, which is the method that we will use in the use cases, we are going to see this after. We have the possibility to don't pass the done property, because if you don't pass this, you can start or initialize this property in false, right? So let's go ahead. What more? So the next thing that we are going to do, oh, I forgot the ID, right? The ID, which is important for create a task or for any another entity, which is a string, right? So you can use a string or boolean or whatever you want, but you can use a value object as well if you want to learn about more value object. Don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up this video, and maybe we can teach you about value objects after, right? So let's go ahead to create a repository, right? Repository, which is a task repository, right? And with this repository, we can get all tasks or save, for example, or update a task, right? The CRUD operators, right? For that reason, we are going to export a task repository, an interface, which should be an interface, right? So we are going to have just 4 methods. The first one will be the get all, to get all tasks from the DB, which is, is Tigris, right? And it's return a promise of tasks, right? Of that is a entity or a class that we create, right? So the another method is get by ID, so which is we receive the task ID, right, which is a string, and we're going to return a task, right? So we are specify the methods that the use case gonna use, right? We are going to see this after, right? So the next method that we are going to create is, for example, save or create or insert, whatever you want. In my case, we are going to call this method save, and we have to pass a task, right, which is an entity that create. And in this moment, we are going to return nothing, right? We are going to return a promise of void, right? As you know, void is when you want to return anything, right? And the another method that we are going to create is the update method, that which we are going to pass a task as well, like save method, and it's like to the another method, right? But the difference is that the first one will save the task and the another one update the task, right? So after that, we're going to head to create an application. We are going to create our use case, how to save, or what will be the logic that we are going to do. So how the use case will in the use case we will store the logic, right? Imagine if you have a product owner and he say you, oh my god, I have to, I don't know, I have to save a task, but before to save a task you have to validate if this user can save a task, right? We have to put that logic inside a use case, right? So for that reason we go ahead to create our use case. So let's go ahead inside the application folder, and if you want to create a new folder to save the use cases, I don't have problem with that, whatever you want. So in my case we can create inside of application, or if you have more than one entity, you can organize by projects, right? For example, if you have in this right now in this moment we have just one entity called task, right? But if you had another entities, you can create for example a task folder, and the another one like users. For example, you can create a user folder, and inside of that folders you can create your use case, right? In this moment we are going to delete this folder because we will create our use case inside application, right? So we are going to create three use case. The first one will be to get all tasks. The another one is to create to create a task, and the last one is to update a task. Let's go ahead to create get all. First of all, get all tasks. For example, you can name your use case whatever you want. I saw another projects that the name of their use case is task get all, or whatever you want. In my case, we are going to create a get all task. I'm going to name my use case like that. So get all tasks, right? The another file that we are going to create is to create tasks, right? And the last one will be update a task, right? We're going to start with create task, right? So I usually build or develop my use case like classes, right? In another province, I don't have problem if you name your or you build your use case like functions or whatever you want. In my case, I usually use a class to create my use case. For that reason, I'm going to create the first one, which is create task, right? And inside of this class we are going to create an async run method, right? Which we'll call this inside our controllers, that the controllers will be storage in the structure, in the infrastructure folder, right? We're going to see that later, right? So this method will return a promise of this method we're going to return nothing, right? So we have to pass the repository that that we have created before, right? Which is task repository. But it's important to know that we are going to pass here the domain repository, right? And we are going to create the implementation for this in the infrastructure, right? It's important to mention that, but because I saw another students or another people that put the implementations here, right? But the implementation is not here, right? Here will be put the task repository like an interface, as interface, right? So we're going to create a private task repository, right? And let me task repository. We're going to import from domain, right? And when we import this repository, we can use this inside run. We're going to use task repository and we're going to save. What will be saved? A request interface. We're going to create an interface called request, which is the params for this method, right? So we're going to call this request. So inside of this request, what we need to do to create a task. So as you know, we have an entity class and we have some properties, right? We have an ID, a name and description, and a property called done, right? For that reasons, we're going to we will the parameters for this method, right? We're going to say that the controllers have to give me the ID, which is an string ID, the name for the task, the description for the task, right? And the other property is the done, which is a Boolean property, right? So after that we can create. So remember that in the task entity we have a method called create, which we can call this method inside of our use cases, right? We are going to declare a variable. So I'm going to call this task, and we are going to call this a method, which we have to pass the parameters that receive the use case, right? So I have to import this first of all. So I think that we have to do something like that, because I think that we usually generate errors, right? So we have a task created in memory, right? In memory, it's important to know that. And we are going to pass the task in the save method. So, and we have to await this to tell use case that have to wait this before to continue, right? So when we save that, we can save this, right? Okay, I think that is finished. I think that we can go ahead to another use case called, we're going to copy this, we're going to pass here, just only we can change the name of this all tasks, get all tasks, and we have to call the another method called get all, right? Get all, which this use case don't receive any parameters, right? So I'm gonna delete this. So the next use case and the last is the update task, is to update task. So here we have to do some another logics, right? Because when you want to update something, you need to know if this something exists on the database, right? So for that reason, we have to get, or we have to get the task to verify if that task exists, and after that we can update that task. But if not exists that task, we have to throw an error to the client, right? And we have to do that. So the first thing that we're going to do is to get the task, right? With the repository for that, oh my god, that get by ID. So we are going to pass the ID of the task that we are going to search first of all. So as you know, we have to verify if this task exists. If not, we have to throw an error. So we're going to call we're going to create an instance of this error. This error is from JavaScript directly, and I don't know, we are going to say that the task is not exists, right? So if the tag exists, that means that that we can update the task, right? For that reason, we can call the update method, and so I have to wait this, and we have to pass the task. So I forgot to put that sign here, because if not exists, we need to throw an error, right? So after that, we have to create a task to update, right? So something similar to the create task use method use case, sorry. We have to create a task, so like that, something like that. We use the static method create to create this. So and we are going to call this task to update, right? In this variable we have to pass here, right? So I forgot to put this await. So today the task is something like that. First of all, we have to get the task. If does not exist, we have to throw an error, and if exists, we create an instance in memory with that task that we want to update, and after that we pass to this method update to update the task, right? It's important to mention that here how to update, or how to create, or how to get, right? That responsibility is for the infrastructure folder, right? For that reason, we are going to create the implementation of this interface which have created in the domain, right? So that's all for these use cases. We have to create a task, get a task, and update tasks. So if we have not more errors, I think that we can pass to the infrastructure folder, right? So let me pass here, and we are going to create the implementation for the task repository, right? I usually create a folder called persistence. Yeah, persistence. Rename this persistence, and inside of this folder we can create I don't know, Tigris task repository, which is the implementation for the. What do I mean by implementation? I mean that I have to export a class called Tigris task repository that implement a task. This for us to implement these methods, right? So I already have a project like this, so I'm gonna just copy this repository, right? I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste here. Let me 1 second to copy and paste this. So we have to create a task repository, right? It's like this, Tigris repository, right? Tigris repository.ts, and here we have to copy and paste here. I'm going to explain this in a few minutes. Let me copy this to win more time, right? Tigris task model. We have to create this model. So let me fix this to explain what I did. So Tigris repository is Tigris repository. Oh my god, Tigris repository. Yeah. Okay, I have to import this model, Tigris task model, right? So let me fix this. Get all. Oh my god, I confused because let me get all promise array of tasks, so I have to return an array of tasks. I forgot to put this, right? So let me explain what I did. So the first thing is what happened here. Tigris task repository, quick fix, implement. So I'm gonna call this create to here to create instance of save, right? What I did. So the first thing that I did is that we're going to extend of Tigris repository. With this Tigris repository, which is an abstract class, we have to get the client of Tigris, right? If you search how to get an instance of Tigris in internet and the main documentation, you can see how to instance a Tigris application. So here we have to create an instance of Tigris. We are going to we called the constructor of Tigris, and we have a Tigris client. With Tigris client we have to get the database, right? And we store this in the repository to after return to the client. So but it's important to mention that first of all we have to create the collection, right? Because Tigris is similar to the MongoDB, right? But with special things that change, right? It's if you want to learn about Tigris, let me know in the comment of this video, and I probably create a video that we're talking about Tigris, right? But first of all, we have to create an collections called tasks. We have to pass this Tigris model, which in the collection we can define what properties will have the task, right? We have to name the collections something like this. And we say that the primary keys is this ID. We have a name with this decorator, description done by default is false, and create that and update that is important to have in your table of your in your database, right? So let me close this. And yeah, with this Tigris repository we have to access the client with this, something like that. We have to await for the clients, and after to get the client we have to get the collection, right, called task, and we have task client to do many things. For example, find many to get all tasks, right? And we have to compare the data that we store in the database and our entities that we define in the domain, right? I don't know if you understand me, right? But it's simple. You have the data in your database, right? Like ID, name, description, and done. But we have the entities in our project, which is important, right? So we have to map the entity that we have in the database to the entity that we have in our project. So for that reason we have to call the constructor of task, and we have to pass the properties that the task needs, right? I have a problem here. Let me know what happened here. So it says that ID doesn't exist in the type. So let me. Okay, so I forgot to put the ID here, right? And here as well. And I think that, oh my god, what happened here? Okay. Is ID, not is, right? Let me close this. So the error was removed. So to get the task by ID is similar to get all. The difference is here because we're going to get the ID from a task. So and to create we can use insert on, right? Insert on to insert the data, right? And to update is similar to the create, but this difference with filter we can filter the task that we want to update, and in fields we have to put the field that I want to update, right? In my case is all, right? So once we have this repository, we can start creating the REST API, right? We're going to call server TS, and here we're going to copy this another service that I already have. So to show you more better what I did to do. So the first thing, I forgot to install the dependencies that the project needs. The first one is Express, right? I think that I only needs the Express, and to the dependencies we have to install the types for Express, right? And we can install in the dependencies node package, yeah, to refresh the server automatically, right? So I have this, so I have to remove this because it's inside of application. What happened here? We have to get the repositories in persistence, inside of persistence, sorry. So we have application and get all tasks. We rename the use case like this. So let me explain what I did. Let me fix this error first of all. Here we have to pass description. I forgot that I have to remove the done, because by default to create a task oh my god, to save, let me know what is happening here. So I have to call this method, right? Let me close this and let me explain what I did. So the first thing that I did is to get an instance of Express and use this middleware to map the body and to understand the roads, right? If you don't put this, if you don't use this middleware, you probably have an error, because the middleware say that not recognize these fields, right? It's important to put this, right? So when we want to create a task, we have to get the description name and ID, and after that we have to pass the repository to the use case, something like that, right? This Tigris task repository, which we have created, and execute the use case, something like that, right? To get all tasks, it's similar to the another one, but the difference is that we don't receive anything. So just we have to get all tasks and return to the client. And the task today we decide to use patch, right? And just pass to the use case, and that's it. To test the app, I decided to use an extension called let me explain what was the extension. It's not REST client, right? we are going to use next client to make the request. So let me copy this folder to this another. So let me copy this, and yeah, we can create a task, right? To do that, first of all, we have to run the app. I think it's dev or star, I don't remember. Is dev, right? It's execute, but before that, it's important to mention that we are going to run the server, which be in source and in infrastructure. Yeah, let me copy this for win more time. And yeah, let me run the code. We're going to start our application. Once the application is up, we can create a new task, right? A new task. So let me create the task. So I had an error, key paths missing index key column. Let me see what is happening, what happened. So I'm gonna send the description and ID. I don't know why it happened. Let me console if the request enter to the controller. Let me the application is a start, and let me try it. So yeah, we have this, the name, description, and ID. Let me see what's happening here. So I don't know if create received the ID. Also, I forgot to match the ID to the ID that we received. So let's start with Node-mon the application again, and let's send the request, and the API respond us for a 201. Yeah, let me know if we're going to see if the task was created. So tuto task, we have to here inside task data explorer. We have to click on that explorer and go to the schema or model that we create, and as you can see, we have our task created, right? To confirm that, we can get the task by our APIs. So I received this. So let me note what's happened here. Let's enter to the server. So what we get this. Let's console the task that we receive to see what's happened, right? these things can happen when you develop. It's so normally, so it's important to be relaxing for this, right? Okay, because we can return we have to return the data, right? That was the error. So let's start again to get the task. And as you see, we have the task that create, right? And to test the update, just we have to use this to get the ID and pass it to the another request to update the task, right? So let's put this, and I don't know, imagine that the task was completed. We are going to pass down as true, and the task was updated correctly. If we refresh this, as you can see, oh my god, what is happening here? Okay, let me know what is happening. I don't know. That's normally when you develop, right? That's normally. So description, name, and done. We have to be inside here, and let's console the task today to see what's happened here. So let's send the request. Okay, the done is false. Why? Okay, we task create the task, right? Here we put okay, I already see the error, because I have to validate if data that's done has value. So if not has, we say it false, right? So let's try again. Let's send, and yeah, that's true. So that means that it's true here. And yeah, that's it. That's all the video, guys. I really hope that you enjoy and learn much about how to create an API implementing with clean architecture. And yeah, guys, don't forget, if you enjoy and like this video and like kind of this video, don't forget to thumbs up this video and subscribe for my channel. So that's all for today, and let's see in another video.